drafted 47th, second round. When you found out you were going to the NBA, what'd you do?
I'm not gonna lie, like it was a surreal feeling. I don't even remember much of it because you kind of just blank out. One thing that I can say also, there's so much leading up to it. Like so many things you gotta do, so many workouts, interviews, meetings, and you obviously try to make the best impression possible. It's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So draft day is like icing on the cake, especially when you get to hear your name called.
Welcome back to another interview on Sports Society TV. Today we have a great guest, a special guest, my guy. He was UCLA Bruins. He spent some time in the G League with Fort Wayne's, Erie Bay Hawks, Birmingham Squadron, and also was drafted second round by the Indiana Pacers. My guy, Ike Anigbogu. Bro, you got a tongue twister for a name, man.
Yeah, no, it's just the Nigerian, you know how it is. It's Ike Anigbogu. Yep.
Anigbogu. So how you living, man? How's everything on your end?
Everything's good, man. Just taking it one day at a time, That's the athlete lifestyle. You gotta kind of just put one foot in front of the other and, keep along with it.
Absolutely. So you played at UCLA, but one of the things that stand out from when you first meet you, is your height. About 6'10", man. Were you always tall when did you hit your growth spurt?
Yeah, man. I've always been consistently taller than the rest. I don't really recall having like a crazy growth spurt. I think I went into when I was a freshman in high school, I went in like 6'6", and then by the time I was a senior, I was 6'10". So I just kind of been steady growing, probably like an inch or two.
Is your parents tall?
Yeah, my parents are tall. But the thing is, like, I wouldn't expect me to be 6'10" because my dad is 6'3", my mom is 6'2". So I guess 6'2". Yeah, 6'2" is where I probably got it from.
Your mom put you over the top. That's not the average size at all. So when did you start playing basketball? Was it something that you wanted to do? Was it something that was forced on you because of your height?
Nah, I've been playing. I started playing like rec league, like in my community and stuff. Probably when I was about like 7 or 8 years old. I was already taller than everybody else at that point in time, but it wasn't forced upon me. Like my parents, I'm a second generation, so my parents are first generation coming over here from Nigeria. So they didn't really know about sports much or nothing like that. It wasn't pushed on me like how it is kind of nowadays.
Yeah,
I was playing just because it was fun.
Nice. So when did you start playing? Because this is a question that's been going on, a trending topic that's going on right now, and it's when should kids start playing AAU/travel basketball, whatever you want to call it? When did you start playing like AAU?
AAU, I started playing, I think I was sixth grade. Sixth grade.
12 years old? And how
Yeah.
old were you at 12?
I was 12. I was probably like 6'3".
6'3", okay. Hey,
Yeah.
big guy.
Yeah. I mean, to answer your question though, I feel like it's more about the amount of games you playing,
Right.
Because I feel like back then we weren't playing like 4 or 5 games a day, like probably some of these kids are right now at the same age. AAU or not, it's probably how much you're playing. We're talking from an injury perspective, but I think that's like the biggest factor in it all.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like we was talking on camera, I coach, so I try to keep the games minimum for the younger guys, like the 7s and 8-year-olds, because I believe that it messes up their skill set sometimes. Like it's easy to revert back to what when you get tired or when you're nervous versus the stuff you gotta constantly train for. When did you know, like, man, I'm pretty good at this. I'm gonna start training more that I'm playing basketball? Did that happen at a young age, like 12, 13?
Nah, that happened probably later than most who make it to the highest level. I
Mm-hmm.
think my first trainer, I had my first quote unquote trainer when I was a junior in high school.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah. So at that point, like a lot of my coaching staff, they seen like the potential I had per se,
Mm-hmm.
and testing me. So it was actually one of my assistant coaches who started coming early in the mornings to work with me after school, after practice. Like he was dedicated working with me. So I didn't even really have a trainer; it was just a coach.
Gotcha. Did you, now looking back on it, do you think that hurt you or did that help you, like having a trainer later on? Because would you do it if you had to do it all over again? Would you do it the same way?
That's a tough question. I mean, I would probably do it the same way because I mean I'm still happy with the results. I think it kind of goes on a case by case basis. Me personally, like I just kind of I love the game, so
Mm-hmm.
I think if I would have had a trainer earlier, it probably wouldn't have hurt. But at the same time, there was a lot of different things that I had to develop mentally to kind of get an edge because I wasn't the most skilled.
Right.
I knew my value was playing hard and doing the little things from an early age.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of came with I just kind of worked with what I had at the moment.
Gotcha. So when did colleges start reaching out to you as far as yeah, in high school? When did you start getting any interest from any college? What was your first college interest?
My first college interest was I think sophomore year. Sophomore year, I had transferred from a local high school to a high school a little bit down the road from me, Corona Centennial. If you know
Yeah.
California, shit nationally at this point,
Yeah, yeah. I heard of it.
yeah, they like that. So once I got there, the schedule, the interest, everything started piling up, and I was in a good situation too. So sophomore year is when everything kind of popped off.
Mm. Was and what made you choose UCLA?
Man, I always wanted to go to UCLA. Honestly,
Yeah.
before even basketball, before I really knew how much basketball could offer, I wanted to go to UCLA. It's right down the street. My older sister, she was there at the time as well. And obviously, when basketball started coming in, you look at their history. My goal was to play professional. So you know how many guys they consistently put into that field. It was kind of a no-brainer. I was no shade, but I was low-key just waiting for that offer, honestly.
Right. Did you go on any of your visits?
Nah, I only went to UCLA.
So you were
You already
set.
know.
Yeah, I don't blame you, bro. UCLA is a great school, bro. UCLA is amazing school, got great history. Um, I noted that the work ethic had to be different going into it. What do you remember about coming from high school to UCLA as far as the workouts, like the difference in them?
I mean, from a competitive standpoint, I think just being around older guys and trying to like hold your own, because in workouts you still competing, you still looking at the next guy over, even if it's off the court. In the weight room, you looking at who's lifting the most weight. And like I'm trying to be one of the ones, you know what I'm saying? So that part, just competing with people who are a lot older than you, everything's like everyone else says, everything's faster, guys are stronger, guys are more skilled, and there's less room for error.
Right.
There's a lot weighing on people are looking at you. You're trying to make a good first impression as well. So there's a lot of pressure, and then everyone is just all around better.
Mm. If you had to give advice to a freshman going into a high Division I school right now, what would it be as far as preparing for his new workload, his or her new workload?
I mean, first and foremost, probably if you go in a high Division I school, like you're not going there for no reason.
Hmm.
They they see something in you, and you see something in yourself to be able to perform to get that offer. So first and foremost, you gotta like trust in your own work. You gotta know that you belong.
Right.
It, you can't have like what they call it imposter syndrome about it.
So, uh-huh.
You gotta trust that you belong and then just attack every day. You gotta turn the page every day because not every day is gonna be a good day.
Right. No, I agree with that. I think because that freshman wall is real. You know, you go in and you have high expectations and you think you're gonna play right away. Or for some people they do play right away. But
Yeah.
it's a lot to take on as far as a new playbook, a new coaching staff. Obviously at that level, they're more professional than most high schools would be.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that stuck with you as a player, from a practice or a game, like some advice that a coach gave you, that helped you push through to get you to the next level?
That's a good question. Well, from my personal experience, that year I was at UCLA, we were really good. We were number 2 in the country at one point, and I had a chance to play with a lot of NBA players, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So getting that exposure before making the next jump, I think that was incredibly valuable. I mean, I played with Lonzo, TJ Leaf. These are
Yeah.
guys first round picks, and seeing how they approach, seeing just their talent level is just kind of like, yo, like I gotta keep working. You know what I'm saying? Gotta keep working.
There's levels to it, man.
It is.
So, you mentioned NBA where, you were drafted 47th, second round. Tell me about that feeling. Tell me about, when you found out you got the new, when you found out you going to the NBA, what'd you do?
So I was actually at the draft in Brooklyn, New York, with my
Okay.
family. So I'm not gonna lie, like it was a surreal feeling. I don't even remember much of it because you kind of just blank out. You know, this is a childhood dream.
Yeah.
Been working for your whole life, and with my family there and everything, it was just mad surreal. But one thing that I can say also though, it was very relieving in the sense that there was so much, just something like that, from the end of college season to draft day. There's so much leading up to it, like so
Mhm.
many gotta do, so many workouts, so many interviews, meetings, and you obviously try to make the best impression possible. It's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So draft day is like icing on the cake, especially when you get to hear your name called.
How many workouts you did before the draft?
So initially, I was scheduled to have like 20 to 24.
Really?
Yeah, but
These is in different cities, right?
yeah, some different cities,
Wow.
and some of them be like back to back.
Mm,
Most of them you get like one day of rest in between.
gotcha.
So it gets pretty brutal. But unfortunately, my situation, I had got hurt. I actually got hurt in my workout with the Pacers, Indiana.
Wow.
They're the ones who ended up taking me. So yeah, I think I worked out for 3 teams prior to them. No,
Hmm.
it was only two teams prior to them I had worked out for.
Did you Now you went to Brooklyn for the draft. Did you know you were going to get drafted? Like, did your agent tell you, or you was like, man, I got it. I know in my heart they calling my name, man.
I mean, yeah,
I always wanted to know about this process. A lot of us play basketball who would never experience this process. So I'm pretty sure people are curious to know, how does this process work when people go to the draft versus staying home.
yeah. I had some good intel that I would be hearing my name called. I was in a pretty big range as well.
Hmm.
Um, but something that I really expected to be different when I like made that transition, because as a kid, when you watch the draft on the TV and stuff like that, you kind of assume that like it's being played on TV. You kind of, for me at least, I'd be feeling like these guys probably know when they're gonna get called, but that's not how it is. Like even nowadays, like you find out stuff on Twitter before your name gets called.
Gotcha.
Further from the draft, like guys are getting traded, things like that. Like you find out like on social media. So you kind of just are sitting there not really knowing what's going to happen. And then Woj might tweet, oh, yeah, they're picking you in the next pick. You're like, what? Is this true? And then they call. Yeah.
So pretty much everyone who goes to the draft is getting drafted. Or is there anyone that's like they don't get drafted and they just walk home, they just walk away with not hearing their name called?
Yeah, there's probably some guys, probably less than more. There are probably some guys who, if you're in that bottom range, if your agent's giving you that like 50 to undrafted and you really want to be there to
Yeah.
walk across the stage, you can only do that once. You don't get that back.
Right.
If that doesn't happen, then yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. So you was drafted to the Indiana Pacers. Now you're going up another level. You're going up a higher level than UCLA. How how different were those practices versus UCLA? Because I want to believe that UCLA is it got to be like a borderline NBA workout, right? Or practice.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of similarities, especially with the roster we had at UCLA. Our coach, he knew our talent level, so I feel like our system when I was there was a little bit more flowing than probably other college programs. But that transition from college to the NBA, it's it's the biggest jump. I
Yeah.
think I think it's the biggest jump.
What made it the biggest jump for you? Like what you what part of your experience that made it the biggest jump for you?
I mean, even going from high school to college, they tell you that it's no more fun and games. It's like a business,
Mm-hmm.
but like there's no other business like the NBA when it comes to basketball. So just that aspect, knowing that like this is your job,
Right.
you get as a young guy, you don't get the seriousness of it until some you find yourself like right against it. Like you come late to practice, not late to practice. No one's ever late to practice because you got so much stuff like before practice, weightlifting and
Right.
treatment. But if you late to like treatment, you're late to your treatment table. Like no one says anything to you. Like the PT guy will be dabbing you up, asking you how your morning is, and then like the next day you're gonna have a slip in your locker. Fine.
Wow. Really?
Yeah,
You get fined if you late.
yeah, you get fines.
Wow, I didn't know that. I know you get fined a lot, but I didn't know you get fined if you late. So you went through an injury. So you went through your first injury after about what, 3 games with the Pacers, I believe.
I did.
How was that? What was your injury, and how did you stay motivated through that process of healing?
Well, sorry, actually, correction. Like I said, I had injured my knee in my draft process, my draft workout with Indiana.
Uh-huh.
So I had to have surgery right after they drafted me. So going
Mm,
into the season, I was already dealing with something.
mm,
Um, yeah, and I didn't make it back until like right at the end of training camp.
mm,
So I've been in training camp a little bit. And then from there on, it was still like the rehab and getting up to speed because you kind of lose a lot of crucial those moments where you kind of just playing pickup with the team. Then
mm.
obviously camp is the first impression you have, and you start actually getting involved in the system they're trying to run. I had missed out on some of that because I was still working my way back from that first knee injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the NBA being a business. Now, how they treat you after the injury, like when they know you're injured, when they know, he'd probably be out for the season. Was it still the same love you received when they drafted you? Or did it change?
It was the same.
Yeah.
I feel like the same, especially because, like I said, I was injured in my workout. So the fact that they still invested in me,
Hmm.
they were you could tell they were confident that I was going to come back and be the same player and work my way to becoming a better player from that. So, as long as they see you working, because you're still expected to be there. A lot of guys talk about it. When you hurt, your days are longer than when you're not hurt. Because you gotta do what the team is doing. You won't practice. You'll sit through practice, but you gotta work out, do your rehab work before and after. So as long as they keep seeing you working, like they can't really say too
Yeah.
much.
They'll stay with you long as they can see you working. I didn't hear. I haven't heard anything bad about the Indiana Pacers organization. So I can imagine they treated you right. They treated you well. My next question to you is this, because this is another trending topic right now about the competitiveness with in the NBA right now. Is the NBA still as competitive as you once seen it when you was growing up?
Man, yeah,
Yeah.
it
Okay.
is. Well,
I mean,
what is your opinion?
well, me personally, I don't think so. Like, I just think y'all getting too much money, man. That's my thing. I think it's like, y'all got money from different deals, and you don't even have to be the star guy anymore to get money outside of the NBA. But back when I was growing up, the Allen Iverson era, the Kobe Bryant era, you had to be one of those guys. So everyone always came out and performed. Like the role players on those teams came out to perform. The All-Star games was highly competitive because everyone was fighting for those deals. Now I think it's just so much money going around that is more friendly. And it's not like, and which is fine, by the way. Like I want to see more players make money and don't need to be the guy, right? But it has to find a balance. Like the All-Star game, this past All-Star game was like, I used to look forward to it. I used to
Yeah.
cancel everything. Now it's just like something in the background.
Yeah, no, that's true. But let me ask you a question though,
Uh-huh.
because when guys like Melo or Carmelo Anthony
Mhm.
or Isaiah Thomas, who he recently just got back with the Phoenix Suns, but when guys like those guys don't have jobs, what do you think that says about the NBA? Is it not as competitive? Because there's a lot of guys who can play who don't have jobs.
True, very true. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think guys like Carmelo Anthony should be in the league. Isaiah Thomas, like you said, just got his opportunity to play in the NBA again. I do think it's more skill. I'm not saying it's not skill, but as far as competitiveness, Carmelo can make a team, but what the role that Carmelo served as far as being a scorer, where I don't I feel like teams don't see him doing that for them anymore. And I don't think he wants to take on that role. Like I think when they say he was coming off the bench for which one for the Rockets, for the
Mm-hmm.
Lakers, he didn't like it. He didn't like that role. So and I also think the NBA is a young man's business. I think they want the 22-year-olds, the 20, because they can build the league around you guys. So
Yeah,
I think that speaks to why a Carmelo Anthony wouldn't be in the league right now. Um, and he also achieved a lot too. I don't know how much he wants to. But again, though, I think that goes back to the money too. Guys like one of my favorites, Tracy McGrady, ended up playing for the Spurs.
mm-hmm.
And I believe he won a ring with them, but he played for so long. Now players don't have to play so long because they have other ways to get money. Like
Yeah,
Carmelo have a great podcast. He's on commercials. So
yeah,
he doesn't need the NBA back. Then you got so many announcers and so many people creating platforms for themselves. So if you don't want to go through a grueling 82 games, how many practices in the NBA a day? One or two?
depends on your role. if you
Yeah. So,
playing, if you playing, then you just going through shoot around. But if you a young guy or like in on the bench,
huh?
shit, it can get rough. Probably like three, and that's just
Yeah.
on the court.
Yeah. So you're not Carmelo probably win. I mean, me and Carmelo are
Yeah.
around the same age. I'm not trying to compete with no 25-year-old. You know what I mean? You practicing 4 times a day. I only got two in me. So
Yeah,
I'd rather go ahead and get the same money. He probably got some pension from the NBA.
yeah.
So it makes sense. To me, it all makes sense. Um, Another question for you. What is the best era since we're talking about competitiveness? What is the best era for you? Is it the 2000s or the 2010? You gotta tell me why. I'm gonna go back and forth with you a little bit on it. I'll tell you why.
uh, I'm gonna say 2010s.
Yeah.
And I feel like because it's just recent enough to involve the modernness, the skill of
Uh-huh.
today's NBA, but there were still a lot of guys like LeBron is. I'm not gonna say he's at his peak. He's still really good, but
You're good.
2010s, like LeBron was the best he's ever been. Kobe was still in it. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of guys who were still in in the league, but it still was. There's more skill set. As time goes on, guys get more skill.
Right. Who's your top five? Like, who's your five and for the tens? For the tens only.
For the tens only,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Bron in there for sure.
Got
Is
to.
it position or just top five?
Just top five. It can be whoever you
Put Bron in it for sure. Steph. Low key James Harden.
James Harden was a dog.
Yeah, James. Probably put KD in there.
Gotta put KD in there for sure.
Yeah, and I'm just going like I naturally go position, so I'm thinking of a big.
I think we all do that.
Yeah, this is a hard one. Um,
I mean, I think it's hard because the tens kind of erased the bigs. They didn't have any more bigs after a while. I mean,
yeah,
I think the best big man that comes to mind, the tens, oof, maybe Garnett. Maybe I mean I think we talking about the Celtics Garnett,
yeah,
Bosh. You know, it started to be the stretch forward. It started to be the stretch forward era.
yeah. It does honestly. I could probably. This is gonna be is biased, and probably a lot of people are not gonna agree. But growing up, DeAndre Jordan, just like I said earlier, like guys who kind of do the little things.
Uh-huh.
And this dude was a highlight reel. He has some of the craziest dunks of all time.
Yeah.
I'll throw him in there.
I can understand that. I can
Yeah.
understand that. Like, he was definitely a glue guy. He was definitely a guy who rewarded the team for the things you didn't see with the things you didn't see on the stat sheet. With the as far as contested shots, changing shots,
Mhm.
rebounds you see on the stat sheet. Like you said, highlight reel. Anytime in the screen and roll, you know he's dangerous. Uh,
Man, that era too, like he made it cool to go get 2 points and 20 rebounds.
yep.
Like that's that line for a big. Like all bigs right now want to score. Like I still want to score too, but like to know you can get paid that much and only have 2 points, but go dominate the glass, something that you have more control over. That's
Mhm.
empowering.
Yep. No, and he's still in the league to this day because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go with 2000s. I'm gonna say 2000s, but I think what we're doing right now is just more about age and era. I'm gonna be biased, but is it close? It's close though. The 2000s, 2010, but I say 2000s because they paved the way for the 2010s. LeBron's still in there for 2000s. Kobe still in there for 2000s. One of my favorite players of all time, Allen Iverson for 2000s. Shaq, and then you got Garnett. I'll say those are my top five guys. Um, Probably of all time, really. You know, I'm gonna say of all time. You know, I had to have someone come off the bench. It'd be like a Tracy McGrady. You know, but
You can't argue with that.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I love these debates, but you know, these debates is endless because it's all opinion based, and all of the guys are great, and they did great things for the NBA, for young players like yourself. So you know, it's all respect. Who's your favorite player of all time?
Now it's LeBron. It's probably LeBron. But when I was growing up, just another random player to throw in there. Serge Ibaka was someone that like I used to watch like heavily.
That where he's from Nigeria too, right?
Nah,
Nigeria?
he's not from Nigeria. I think he might be from like Cameroon or Ghana or something. I don't know.
Okay,
I
okay.
should. I don't.
I thought it was a little biased there. I thought you had a Nigeria connection going on.
Nah, I think just growing up, like my skill to this day and back when I was a kid was blocking shots, and that's what he's literally known for. And then later on in his career, he started stretching the floor a bit to extend his career and stuff like that. So that
Absolutely.
OKC team, when he was OKC, when they had Russ, KD, all
Mhm.
that, James was on it too. Yeah,
They wouldn't have made it to that far without him. And the Raptors wouldn't have won a chip without him either.
uh, yeah.
No. So I can see that. That's a dope pick. So that's the first pick though. That's the first time I heard someone say Ibaka is the best player. That's respect. Now who's your top UCLA Bruins before we get out of here?
Top you say. Are
Wow,
we going top
you
again?
top five. So if I get shit could be your whole starting lineup for.
I can throw myself in there.
You can throw yourself in there.
I'm throwing myself in there.
All right.
Um,
Now we go.
now,
Listen. We're gonna debate about it online now. We're gonna put you in there. Top 5 UCLA
I'm
Bruins.
holding my own. Yeah, come on,
Let's do it.
let's do it. I'll say myself.
Uh-huh.
Us. Obviously, he's goated in himself. Darren Collison.
Uh-huh. Darren
I actually
Carlson.
have a really good connection with him. He runs a I trained with him a couple times out the year down in Irvine. So
Mm-hmm.
we played together in Indiana as well.
Nice.
So Darren Collison, Lonzo, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess I'm gonna throw Kareem in there because
You got I got this either. I
one of
give
the best players of all time. So
I give you that. Y'all always wonder that though, man. How y'all see this is my thing. Yeah, y'all how old are you at? 25?
25, yeah.
25. I always wonder why y'all always pick these old players, man. Like I would have went with Kevin Love before I went with Kareem, and I'm older than you.
Yeah, I feel like Kareem is more like, I'm not gonna say he's like Steph, but that sky hook, like
Yeah.
going back and watching clips of like the way he got that shot up,
Uh,
it's kind of crazy how people always say like, how has no one ever like reinvented this or like really added this to the game? Because that shot is ridiculously hard.
mhm. No, it definitely was. Like they had growing up, most coaches had us practicing that. Like how we used to practice, you
Really,
had guard work and post work. And that was always part of the post work, that hook shot.
the sky hook like coming across the lane.
Yeah, that was part of it. Like, yeah, it was
Uh,
maybe not a necessarily a running one, but probably like a jump stop, a turn to the middle to a jump stop, and a hook
yeah,
shot.
yeah, no, that one is yeah, a lot of base press, but he used to go like right over the shoulder, like off one leg, not
Mhm.
even on the run, like on the run, because like a lot of bigs still do that running hook right now. Like we practice that too, but like he would turn over the shoulder and just
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough.
And if you ever played with an old head back then outside, they always had that down pat. That was like their go-to patented move. If you playing one-on-one, they always had that move down pat.
Man, that's crazy.
So now last question for you, bro. What's the plans, man? What should we expect out of you moving forward? Where should we see you with what you got next?
Man, I've been kind of off the grid for a little bit, dealing with some injuries and whatnot. Kind of ducked off, but yeah, I've been working.
That's like,
At this point, it's almost addicting, man. Like seeing myself improve, like building myself back up from off the surgery table to playing again, like it's one of the most gratifying feelings ever. So I'm going to be on the court sooner than later, but at this point, it's just kind of uncertainty where it's going to be at. But this summer, there's going to be some opportunities, some workouts, and yeah, I'm hoping for the best from there.
I'm hoping for the best for you as well, bro. Me and you run into each other at the gym, so I know you for sure working. Looked at some of your videos, your highlights, even watched the game. You're a workhorse, so I definitely look forward to seeing you on the court again. All prayers up for you, getting over your injuries or whatnot. Yeah, man, and I appreciate you coming on the show. And hopefully, you motivated someone who probably going through the same process. And we're gonna keep pushing forward with it.
Thanks, man. That's what the journey is about. I appreciate you having me too.
Let's make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Let's continue to think elite and together. Welcome to Score Society.